Welcome to Wrong Time Watch. My name is Kevin, and today we're looking at the Nodus Retrospect 3 with the slate gray dial. I'd like to thank Nodus for sending this over on loan for us to check out. I really like this watch. I usually lean towards black dials. I don't really go much with the gray dials, but this is a darker gray, so I really like this dial, this slate gray dial. Price for this is $475. Have a double dome sapphire crystal with anti-reflective coating on the inside. Matte DLC loomed insert. It does have a sandwich dial, so let's zoom in and look at the dial. So what that means is that the dial is cut out and then there's a loom applied to a disc under that dial. And you can see some of that right there in the date window. So the date window is loomed as well. So very cool looking watch. And the bezel insert is sloped inwards. I can't remember if that's convex or concave, but most of them are sloped outwards. This one is sloped inwards. So very cool looking watch. 120 click bezel here. So the watch features a Seiko NH35 movement, which is regulated in-house by Nodus in Los Angeles, California, to plus or minus 10 seconds. I believe the Seiko spec is plus or minus 20. I don't really pay too much attention to that on my watches. But it's nice to know this has been regulated in Los Angeles. It's also designed and assembled in Los Angeles. So you do have 316L stainless steel, which is a mixture of brushed and polished surfaces. So you can see the side of the case here is brushed, but then the chamfers here are polished. So it looks really nice. Do have drilled lugs, and we also have these quick release spring bars here, quick release end links, solid links with screw pins. We do have a female end link here, but it doesn't fully articulate, so I guess it's kind of a combination of male and female. So it looks like a female link, but it doesn't quite fully articulate. Not a big deal. It still wears very comfortably on wrist. Let's look at the other side here. So do you have a signed screw down crown? The watch is rated to 200 meters water resistance. This is the Nodus clasp. So dual pushers, which I really like. I really don't care for the safety clasps. For example, on my SKX here. So back to the Nodus with the Nodus clasp, dual pushers, milled here, milled there, and we do have tool-less adjustment. Wouldn't necessarily call it on the fly. I mean, it kind of is on the fly. You just need to remove it from your wrist. Then you can push in here and then pull out. And then if you want to push it back in, you need to push the button again and push it back in. So you can just quickly take it off, push this button and pull it out, and then you can put it back on your wrist with a little more room here. So nicely done. Let's talk about the dimensions, and then we'll put it on my wrist. It look a little bit big on my wrist, but that's okay. 53 millimeter lug to lug. Sorry, 53 must be from here to here. There we go. And then lug to lug here is 48. 42 millimeter bezel diameter. The watch itself is a little bit inset from that, so maybe it's 41, 40 and a half, somewhere around there. Very nice and easy to rotate that bezel. 13.2 thick. 22 millimeter lug width, and it does taper down to 18, so a good amount of taper. I'm usually a fan of 4 millimeter taper, so 22 down to 18 or 20 down to 16, good amount of taper. In size for my 6.5 inch wrist, it weighs in at 175 grams. All right, let's compare it to my SKX, and then we'll get it on wrist and check out the Lume, again comparing it to the SKX. Let me close that clasp up there. So hopefully you get a good idea of the size here. 42 millimeter. Actually, no, they're kind of opposites because the case on the XKX it sticks out farther than the bezel, and on this one, the bezel sticks out farther than the case. So kind of the same overall dimension, just smaller on the bezel, bigger on the case, bigger on the bezel, smaller on the case. And then lug to lug on this one's around 46. The SKX and a lot of Seikos have real short lugs, so anyway. Thickness is basically the same on these as well, but again the SKX has a rounded case. Let's see if I can show it to you this way here. So yeah, I'm a big fan of the SKX. Alright, let's get the Nodus on wrist here. Okay, one more thing to note before I put it on wrist. This watch does have C3X1 Lume, so we'll see how that compares to the Seiko Lume Bright here in just a moment. So since we're zoomed in a little bit, we'll look at it on my wrist at this magnification level, and then we'll zoom out in a moment. So I have a 6.5 inch wrist with a 52 millimeter wristband. So the female end links kind of overhang my wrist, but it doesn't really matter because the case itself is right there at 48, so it wears very comfortably on my wrist. I really enjoyed my time with this watch. Let's see, probably should have cleaned it off a little bit better. That dial is just very nice. It's kind of a matte sunburst, I guess. Maybe a regular sunburst. It's just dial's a little bit darker, so very nice colorway. All right, let's zoom out a bit here. Oh, if you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button. I really appreciate it, and it really does help me out here. So I still have one link left there and one left there, so you could probably go down to 6 inches with it maybe, but I think probably 6.5 might be at the limitation for the size. But you know, if you don't care if the watch overhangs your wrist, then have at it. Nice 3-link style bracelet here. All right, let's pause the video and we'll take a look at the Lume. Well, the Nodus, of course, is on the left, the Retrospect 3, and then SKX is on the right. I gotta say, the handset on the Nodus, I'll wait for the second hand to go around, but the handset on the Nodus, I would say, is brighter than the SKX. The indices, I would say, is about the same, so overall the Lume is very comparable on the Nodus. If that's your thing, if you're into Lume, I think this watch should be perfectly fine for your needs. Alright, well, that will conclude this video. As always, thank you for your time and thank you for watching.